Okay, let's go ahead and write some tests for our notification feature. So if you remember, we added this line here to adding a comment, and this notifies the user who created the idea anytime someone comments on their idea. So I removed the mail driver here, but if it were in here, then you definitely want to add a fake so mail isn't sent out when you run your tests. So let's go to the add comment test, and in here we can do a notification fake. So let's do this, and we can also assert that nothing was sent before we perform that action. So let's grab this. So before we do this, we can say notification fake and assert that nothing was sent to start. Let's import notification. Okay. And after we perform that action, so after we add a comment, we just want to make sure that this notification was triggered. So we can do it like this, or you can also pass in a callback like this if you want to inspect more details about the notification, but I'm okay with just this way. Okay. So after it's done, then we can, oh, sorry, I copied the wrong one. I want assert sent to. Space that in. So it should be sent to the person who created the idea. So that would be idea user. And we want to make sure that it's the comment added notification. Comment added. Okay, let's import that. And let's see if this test still passes. Okay, cool. Now let's go ahead and make a class for the rest of our tests. So PHP artisan make test. Let's call it comment notifications test. Okay, let's go to that. Comment notifications test. Let's use refresh database. And as always, let's start with the existence test. So we want to just make sure that this shows up when we're logged in and doesn't show up when we're not logged in. So let's do that. So let's just grab it from another test here. Grab it from add comment test, the first one. So let's grab this. Let's say comment notifications livewire component renders when user logged in. Okay, so we need a user here, so let's do user factory. Okay, import user, and this appears on both pages, but I'll just make it work on the index page. Okay, actually we need to log in as this user, so this acting as user. Okay, and we can assert that we see that component. So comment notifications. Okay, this should pass, and it does. And let's do the other case for when we're not logged in. So comment notifications livewire component does not render when user not logged in. Okay, so same thing, but we don't need a user here, and we're not logging in as that user. So let's remove this. Okay, and assert don't see livewire. Try that. Okay. Okay, next let's say notifications show. So notifications show for logged in user. Okay, so we need some setup here. And let me just paste that in to save some time. So we have a user and we have an idea, and this user created this idea. So this is the user that would be receiving the notifications. And we have two other users that are commenting on this idea here. So we have a comment factory, but we don't have a notification factory. And we want to make sure that, let me just show you here, this data in this notifications table is correct. So all of this data here, I want to be accurate so the test actually verifies the correct functionality. So you can write a notification factory, but I'm just going to do the equivalent of manually entering a comment here, and then this should trigger the notification, and then this data should be correct. So let me show you what I mean here. So the equivalent of entering a comment would be this. Actually, let's just grab it from the add comment test. So down here, when we're actually testing that it works, we can do something like this. And this would be the equivalent of filling out the form here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's just put this on the same line so it's a bit cleaner. Let's import Livewire. So let's set the comment to this is the first comment. And we're calling add comment, and we don't need this assert emitted. And this would make sure that it actually adds a comment and actually populates this notification table correctly with all the right data. Okay. And it's going to be user A commenting. That makes this comment. Let's add a second comment here. Make sure to add a semicolon. So user B would be the one creating this comment. Say second comment, doesn't really matter actually. Okay, so now we should have two comments in the database with the corresponding notifications in the notification table. So now we can test the comment notifications Livewire component. So let's do that. Let's grab this. And let's say acting as user. So remember, the user is the one receiving. So this user is the one receiving notifications. Okay. We're testing the comment notifications class. Make sure to import that. Okay. And this doesn't have any params. And let's go to that actually. Comment notifications. Remember, we have to call this method here, get notifications. So let's call that. Call get notifications. Okay. And now we can assert C that those comments exist. So let's say this is the first comment because we have it up here. And then we can do another one for second. Okay, so let's try that. Hopefully I did everything correctly and it should be green. It's not. We have to import add comment here. Okay, try again. And we are passing. Now I also want to make sure that this comment shows first. So remember, the latest comment should be on top. But these two are created at the same time, so it won't appear in that order. So I want to do assert C in order, and I want the second one first because that one should be the latest comment. So say this is the second comment, and then this is the first comment. Okay, but this is going to fail. So let me remove these. Okay, because like I said, these two are created at the same time. So the easiest fix for this would be to add a sleep between them. So 1 second. And now it passes, but this slows our test down. So what we can do is just set the timestamp on this first one to be earlier. So let me just paste that in here. So I'm grabbing the notification, the first one, and I'm just updating the created at field to 1 minute before. So hopefully this should pass as well. Okay, and it does. So we can get rid of this. And let's also add the notification count here. You can have a separate test for this, but I'm okay with just combining it with this test. So say notification count, and there should be 2 comments. Sorry, what am I doing here? Assert set. And we're asserting the notification count, and that should be 2. So let's try this out. Sorry, I forgot the comma. Try again. Okay. And let's make sure it works. If I put something else in there, it should fail. Okay. Okay, next let's add a test for the threshold. So if you remember, I added the threshold. It says 20 plus if there are more than 20 comments or more than 20 notifications. So let's start with this and just duplicate it. Let's name it notification count greater than threshold shows for logged in user. So we can keep this. We don't need a second comment here. Let's just stick with 1. Actually, not 1. We're gonna make 21, so it's over the threshold. Don't need this. Let's assert set that the notification count is 20 plus, because we're gonna have 21 comments in here, or 21 notifications. And we can also assert C 20 plus the string, since that should be unique enough. Okay. So obviously this should fail because there's only 1 notification so far. Okay. So let's go ahead and make a loop here. Say for each, say range, we'll make 21, say as item or whatever, and then we'll run this code here. So this should create 21 comments and notifications. So hopefully this passes. Okay, and it does. We shouldn't hard code the 20 and 21 in here. We should grab it from the threshold. Let's do that. We can grab it from comment notifications. It's called notification threshold. And in here we can use this threshold +1. Okay. And down here we can just say threshold and append plus. That should turn it into a string. And same with this. Threshold and append the plus. Okay. Spelled this wrong. Run that. And it still passes. Okay, next one. Let's grab the test above again. And let's paste it underneath. But this one will be for marking all as read. Can mark all notifications as read. Okay. So this is fine. This is fine. We have 2 comments and 2 notifications. Let's remove this. And all we have to do here is call that method. So if you don't remember, it's called mark all as read. Right here. Okay. So let's call that. Call mark all as read. And we can get rid of these. And now we can assert that. So say this assert equals. There should be 0 for the user's unread notifications. So we can do user unread notifications count. Let's try that out. Okay, it fails. It still says there's 2. So we might have to get a fresh user here. So let's try that out. Okay, and that works. Okay, now let's test. We can mark individual notifications as read. So we can grab this again, duplicate. Let's say it can mark individual notification as read. Okay. So this is all the same. Instead of mark all as read, we can call the mark as read method, and that takes in a notification ID. So let's just grab it directly from the model. So database notification, let's say first ID. And if you remember, we are redirecting here to the show page. So let's do that. So let's say assert redirect. So it's going to be route idea.show, and it's going to be idea, and we have the idea. Okay, so let's see if this works. So we're marking this notification as read. Oh yeah, and we want to change this to 1 because we had 2 initially. We marked 1 as red, and now there should be 1. So let's try this out. Okay, doesn't pass. It says we need to be on page 1. So let's just hard code that in. Page 1. Does that work? Okay, and it does. Okay, 2 more tests here. So let's duplicate this again. So the first one is when the idea is deleted. So notification idea deleted redirects to index page. So this setup is the same. I only want 1 comment here. So let's remove the second one. And instead of redirecting to this page, we're going to redirect to the index page when the idea is deleted. So let's get rid of this. And we don't need this. Okay. So obviously this is going to fail because I did not delete the idea yet. So let's do that. So we can delete the idea in here. So let's just say idea delete. And I think this is not going to work because it has a comment associated with it. So let's try that out. And let's see here. Yeah, we get this foreign key constraint. So we can delete the comments like this. Idea, comments, delete. Okay. And now hopefully this passes. And it does. Cool. So the better way would be to create a on-delete cascade for the comments as well as the votes. So we don't have to delete the comments manually. And I'll probably add that eventually, but I'm not going to do it now. So the last test is the same thing, but for comments. So let's change this to notification comment deleted. Okay. Redirects to index page. So it's exactly the same thing, but we're just deleting this line here. So we're just deleting the comments for this idea. Okay. And this should pass. And it does. Cool. Let's go ahead and run our entire test suite. Everything looks like it's passing. So let's go ahead and make a commit here. This is episode 64. Episode 64. Notifications, testing, or tests.